Hey Reptile fans, this is Wally from Supreme Gecko. When it's time to work with your animals, are you like me? I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone a week ago. I can't remember what I fed, when I fed, what the temperatures were, if I had any issues with the animals. Well, there's a couple of ways that you can deal with that. You could write it down. That's a lot of work. I just wish there was some way that you could remember what you did with the animals. Wait, spreadsheets. Now, this video isn't all about working with spreadsheets. I'm going to show you a super slick way to work with spreadsheets without working with spreadsheets. And we're going to talk about QR codes too to make this super easy. Join me in this video. You know, it's really important to know exactly what's happening with your animals. Last week, a month ago, a year ago, so you can replicate breeding situations so you can make sure that your animals are being kept as healthy as possible. Now, I used to keep tons and tons of notes. I would fill up a notebook within a few months and then have to go through all the pages to try to find out exactly what I was doing with an animal, what their temperatures were, what the room temperatures were. It was just impossible to find that information. So I started keeping spreadsheets. Now, if you're already looking for that button to click to find the next video, stay here because we're not going to talk about spreadsheets. We're going to talk about an easy way to get information into a spreadsheet. This is going to be cool. And once that information goes into a spreadsheet, you can go into that information and find out what's going on with your one animal or with your 100 animals, just like that. So when you're working with your reptiles, you want to record information right there on the spot. You don't want to have to come back to a laptop or a desktop computer and enter into a spreadsheet. But we know that entering into a spreadsheet on your phone, your best device that you have with you all the time, is nearly impossible. It's cumbersome, you make errors, it takes a ton of time to enter information into a spreadsheet. There just has to be an easier way, especially if you're going to keep multiple pieces of information on one or many different animals. What kind of information are we talking about? Well, let me show you this form. Yes, this is going to be a form that feeds into a spreadsheet. Take a look at all the data that I'm keeping here. You don't have to keep all of this information. You can narrow the information down. You could add to the information, whatever information is specific to what your needs are. You can see in this form, I'm keeping information on feeding, on temperatures, on illnesses, on just different notes about animals. And this form is really easy to use and it will automatically feed information over to a spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and talk about how to create that form, and I would advise that you follow along with this video so you can create yours as we talk. The first step is to make sure that you have a Google account. That's easy to do. I'm not going to cover some of those details in this video. Now go to Google, type in Google Forms, and then go ahead and select on the sign in or the documents. We're going to go ahead and select Start a New Form, and we're going to use a blank form. The first step is to title your form. I'm going to go ahead and call this Animal Care Log. Let's go ahead and create our very first question. Type in whatever you want to call the title of your animal identification. It could be Animal ID, it could be Animal Name. On this first question, let's go ahead and use feeding as an example. Go ahead and type in feeding, go over to the right and select multiple choice for the answer. We're not going to cover all of these different options that you have for each one of these questions, but we will talk about a few of them. Now we can select the different types of foods that we're going to feed our animals. Let's go ahead and type in crickets. Let's go ahead and type in mealworms. Let's go ahead and type in dubia. Let's go ahead and hit that plus sign for a new question. Now here you can go ahead and add different sections. We're just going to call it section 2 for now. You won't see these sections in your spreadsheet, but it just helps you on this form to keep everything organized a little bit better. Go ahead and keep adding questions and answers. You can refer back to the form that I showed you in the video a little bit earlier. Once you're done with all of your questions and answers, you don't have to save it. Google automatically saves your form. Okay, here comes the fun part. At this point, we need a way to be able to enter into that form. Go up to the top, click the send button, click the link button, click on the shorten URL. You can see the URL there shortens up, and click copy. Now you have the link to your form. You can actually take that link, paste it into an email, send that email to you, and you can use that email to enter into your form, but we're going to do something even cooler. Go back to your browser, go into Google, and in the search, type in QR code monkey. Under your URL, highlight the link that's already in there and paste in the link that you copied previously from your form. You can use Control V if you like. Now page down a little bit and click that Create QR Code button. In just a second or two, your QR code will be generated. Go ahead and exit out of this message and click that Download PNG button below. Your QR code image has just been created in your download folder. You are all set to start using your QR code. Go ahead and go to your download folder and print out that QR code image. At this point, it just gets easier and easier. Take your phone, open up the app that you take pictures with, hover over that QR code, and in just a second, you'll get a message that says webpage. Tap here to go to forms.gle in your browser, or a similar message. Click that message and voila, you get your form up on your smartphone. For our purposes, this is bringing up the form that I created earlier. I'm going to go ahead and type in the animal name. I'm going to go ahead and select the feeder insects that I fed that animal, and I'm just going to go through and complete the rest of the questions. At the very end of the form, I'm going to go ahead and press submit. You'll get a message, your response has been recorded, and it allows you to submit another response. At this point, you've gone ahead and recorded information about your animal or multiple animals, and you can do one of two things. You can go into that form and you can actually look at the responses that you've entered for these animals. On this form, you can see that I've answered 3 different responses, 2 for Sammy and 1 for Susie. Now you can just page through and see all of the responses for this form. From feeding information to misting information to temperatures to any notes that you might have created for these animals. And on this form, you can always go back into the questions and modify them at any time. Realize however you modify them, they might have an impact on your spreadsheet. Now you're saying, but Wally, that's not geeky enough for me. I need to see that information in a spreadsheet. See that green checkered box that kind of looks like a spreadsheet on the right-hand side? Let's go ahead and click that. In just a second, it brings up your spreadsheet. You didn't have to create this. It automatically created this when you created the form. Now you can bounce through this spreadsheet, see all the activity that you entered for all of your animals, all the temperatures, all the misting, all the feeding, everything that you want to know about those animals for as long as you've created information for these forms. And if you ever wanted to look at this information again, you can go to your browser, go to Google, type in the search Google Sheets, find your sheet, and you can go right into that sheet and look at all the information. And don't forget, you can access that sheet information also right from your smartphone. Hey, let me know in a comment below if you're thinking about using this, if you have used this, if you've tried to use this, and if you have any questions, please let me know in a comment down below. I really appreciate you watching. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much. We'll see you next video.